All right, welcome everyone to Late Night with BS3. Tonight we got a very special show. We got a special guest, James Dobbs. He is the founder and CEO of Beacon Chicago. Beacon Chicago is a weekend-long fan experience full of immersive and interactive activities that will transport you into realms of story and exploration. It's coming up next year, March 31st, 2023 through April 2nd. That's a Friday through a Sunday. And we're going to bring James on. Excited about this interview, and we'll get more into what's coming up in this great event. And let me go ahead and welcome you in. How you doing tonight?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Great to have you. Thank you for reaching out. We were able to make this happen and get this interview going. But first off, let's allow you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then also Beacon Chicago and what's that about.
Hey, so I'm James Dobbs, and a couple of my friends and I, well, professional contacts and I, decided that we wanted to start an event. You know, COVID was rough. We lost contact in person with people. We lost the ability to go to conventions and things like that. And we said we want to go for a more boutique, intimate experience. And we got together and planned this weekend long immersive fan event in the heart of downtown Chicago at the W City Center in Chicago. And the idea is basically to bring fans together with the talent they love from the franchises like Star Wars and Star Trek they absolutely love in a real tangible sort of way. So you're actually having drinks in a place called 10 Forward with people who've written Star Trek episodes, you know? And
Yeah.
that was our vision. And we announced the thing on July 1st. And as you said, it's happening March 31st, 2023. So far, so far, COVID hasn't knocked us off the schedule.
Good, good. Thank
And
God for
we're
that.
just super excited. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to meet with me and talk about this because it's a labor of love and passion for me, and you know it's a
Yeah,
pleasure to be
yeah.
here, man.
I definitely get it. Definitely hear it. As you can see the logo directly behind me. Also, it's up in the top right corner. And to kick it off, the event website is beacon-chicago.com. So you can go to that website and get more information about it. And also, you'll screen down at the bottom of the screen when the event is going on and when it's happening. Also, as we're going live, this is a very interactive show. So any questions that you have, any comments that you have, you can put those in the chat room so we can see who you are and if you have any questions about the event. If you're in the Chicago area or not, if you are a fan of comics, you're a fan of Star Wars, you're a fan of The Simpsons, we have different honorees that'll be there. So it's going to be a lot of great things coming up with this event. So, just to kind of kick it off, if you will, if you would kind of like to talk about some of the guests of honor that are going to be there, if you want to kind of talk about a little bit or some of those people that'll be there in the building.
Yeah, so we're creating different lands around each of our guests of honor and our fandoms, right? So, like for example, we're doing a Star Wars land, and we're going to have Philip Anthony Rodriguez, who played the fifth brother, a character a lot of people are now familiar with from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and the Star Wars animated stuff, and he's going to be there. But we also have Mike Stackpole, who wrote all these Star Wars novels, and they're going to be sitting in an immersive Star Wars environment. So you're not going to meet them at a booth or a table to get an autograph. You're going to be sitting in a small room that feels like being on a set from Star Wars with lightsabers and people in cosplay. And we're doing the same thing with Star Trek. We're are actually our lounge is going to be called 10 Forward, which is the name of the
Wow.
lounge on the Enterprise. And we have Keith R.A.D. Candido, who's written tons of different stuff in Star Trek comics and Star Trek novels. We have Peter David, who's been all over the Star Trek world. He's not actually announced on the website yet. He's coming. I'm waiting for his press materials. I was pestering him to get him to me before the show.
Yeah.
But, um, you know, and we're bringing Bill Morrison, who did The Simpsons that you mentioned, and so we're going to
Yes.
have this is really interesting because we're doing a Simpsons area for Bill, but he's a huge Batman fan, like a huge Batman
Really.
fan.
Wow.
Um, And so he's bringing some of his Batman collectibles. And in addition to talking about The Simpsons and Mad Magazine and all the illustration stuff he's done, he's going to talk about Batman, which is like the coolest thing. And it's something, when you have the traditional convention model, you don't get to really know the guests the way we want to give them an open platform. And this is going to be a smaller, more intimate boutique event. The hotel is only 220 rooms. So it's a small, intimate space, and you get to know the guests, and you're there all weekend with them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's important because some of these events, you just kind of come and you think you don't really get to spend a lot of time with them. But I think that's great that it's more of an intimate setting because then you get to know these people, you get to ask them questions. Hopefully, you get to spend a little bit more time with them than you're just kind of passing by. And like I said, this is an interactive show. We already have a couple of comments here. This is from Big Illinois. He is commenting on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. We also have Kevin Johnson. His nickname is Raider Kev. He's a big Raiders fan. He says, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I would love to check that out. All right, well, definitely. This is the event for you. And here's the website, as you can see, Raider Kev scrolling down below. But
Kevin, I'm a huge Star Wars fan too, man. And I got to tell you honestly, when I got to talk to Phil Rodriguez and hear about some of the stuff that he's actually done behind the scenes, what it's like to record Star Wars audio, it was like the experience of a lifetime. And Mike Stackpole, I actually met up with him at a convention, and I've always been on the other side of the table where I'm buying a book from the guy, get his autograph, and walk away. To get to sit down and hear what it was like for him to write in the Star Wars universe and to talk to him about that, man, it was the treat of a lifetime. And I just want to be able to share that experience with people and let them have that behind the curtain look. And so, it's why we created Beacon Chicago. And hopefully you'll check out our website. And if you're a Raiders fan, I don't know if that is indicative of where you're geographically located. I'm a fan of the Red Sox, and I don't live in Boston, so
Yeah, no, he doesn't actually live in Vegas. He lives actually where I am here in Texas. So, but
nice.
he's actually a truck driver, so he may be willing to drive or fly. Who knows? He got some time to plan, Reddick Kev. So I know James would definitely love to see you there.
Absolutely.
So the lands concept, we kind of talked about that a little bit, but what that means for Beacon, it sounds is that it brings a immerse, like it's mentioned in the paragraph, but also brings that intimate connection. So I understand you have a very large and unique Star Wars land. What all does that include? And also, if you want to talk about any of the other land concept that you guys will have.
Thanks, man. I'd love to. So the Star Wars land, like I mentioned, it's going to be Mike and Mike Stackpole and Philip Rodriguez, and they're going to be sitting. Normally you go to a convention, it's this quick autograph table thing. We're going to have them in this space designed out to feel like you're walking onto set or you're walking in to a Star Wars experience, right? And I'll be honest, I don't know if we're going to be able to rival what Disneyland did with what Disney World did with the Millennium Falcon thing, but that's the feeling we're going for, is to bring that magic to Chicago. And we're still working on a couple of the other people in Star Wars, and we're working right now on getting professional cosplayers. I encourage everyone to wear cosplay. Even running this event, I guarantee you I'll be bringing at least one of my Sith robes. Because that's easy. I just throw it over my clothes. If I got to do something official, I can have a suit and tie underneath it and deal with the hotel or the guests or whatever. But we're going to have some professional cosplayers. So when you come in to experience the Star Wars land, you walk in and you're walking into a Star Wars set, talking to people who've worked in that medium, worked in that franchise, every angle of it, surrounded by professional cosplayers who are on point. And then you're there, you're part of that experience, and you're not in there for 5 seconds. You're there for the weekend with us, and it's only a couple thousand attendees. So you're there immersed in that all weekend, living that, breathing it. And some of the other lands we're doing, we're going to do Star Trek. We're going to have the 10 Forward experience, which I'm super stoked about. We also have Carolina Ravassa from Overwatch, and we're building out a whole world around Overwatch and around her. And we've got a great local Chicago author and storyteller, Rick Hines, and he specializes in immersive role-play gaming. And he's building out for me an entire immersive gaming track, which is going to give you that Star Wars lands feeling, but for gaming, and you're really part of it in that you're part of the story, right? You're
Right.
helping write the narrative that weekend.
Right.
And
Yeah. And
that's something I'm excited about.
that is awesome. And I'm noticing a lot now that the immerse experience is everywhere. Like I said, I'm here in Dallas. They had a Frida Kahlo immerse. They've had also a Vincent Van Gogh. So being able to, like it says, immerse people into what they're experiencing really takes it to another level. And I think that's what this event is going to be geared towards, and it's going to be very exciting. So as you're tuning in, if you have any questions about this event coming up, please ask those. James is the founder and CEO of Beacon Chicago, which is coming up, like I said, next year, March 31st through the 2nd. I have that listed here. Yep, through the 2nd. Let me see. We also have some other comments here. Walter Strong, thank you for tuning in. Also, we have Hundreds Black. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate your support as well. So you've been jumping into a lot of the different shows. Raider Kev says, "Man, this really sounds awesome. I might just have to take a flight." Well, it is. He is ready. James is ready for you. Vegan Chicago is ready for you. So please do that. All right.
We'd love to
So
see you there, man.
yeah. He seems really excited about it. He says, "I'm sure it's on the website, but what is the cost for the event?" Okay, there we go. Here's a question.
Well, the event's priceless, of course.
Right.
No, seriously, it's for the weekend registration for adults. It's $65, and we've got young adult registration, which is people, teenagers up to 21 years old that we have a discounted rate for, and it's free under 5 years old. And we've got another rate for the very young fans who are over 5. And part of the reason we staggered our pricing bracket like that is to try and make it a family friendly event. And we've
Yeah.
got different programming geared at all the different ages too. We have it unannounced, but we're having an anime track, which is probably going to skew more to the. Not that I love anime, not that it doesn't skew to the. I mean, I watched My Hero Academia, and the time I got reincarnated as slime. Not that it doesn't skew to the adult demographic, but it does skew a little younger. And
Yeah.
we want to keep it family friendly. So the most you'd spend is $65, and then if you want to really have a all out crazy experience. We're in this gorgeous 4-star hotel, and we got an open bar package Friday and Saturday night. It's only 150 attendees and the guests of honor for 4 hours with full open bar package, and it's $100 for the open bar package. And I think our room rates, I'd have to double check, but it's around $150 a night, which if you just look at what the hotel charges, we got a discount on their normal weekend room rates. And that was something that was important to the hotel and important to us. And I had the good fortune of negotiating our room rate in the middle of a giant pandemic that was bad for hotels. So
Yes. Yes.
um,
That definitely worked in your favor there.
yeah, it's probably the only good thing that happened to me during all the COVID was getting to negotiate a hotel block.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of it I could take or leave. But that was kind of nice, and we tried to theme this around, make it really doable, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And he says, yeah, that's doable. Definitely. That is definitely doable. And I think it's definitely worth the experience. And when you go to the website, you'll see the people that are coming. And like James also said, everybody that's coming is not on the website. So there will be more. I'm sure there'll be more things coming up going forward. 100 Black says, I will keep up on it through online. And I know you're in
awesome.
California, 100 Black, but again, you got time to save, and definitely this will be I think a once in a lifetime really experience that you definitely don't want to miss.
Yeah, and
Now,
you will be able to track some of what we do online because Ming Chen, who's an amazing podcaster, is going to be there. It won't be the full experience, and I'd encourage everyone to come in person, but there will be some ability to track us online with Ming kind of bouncing from experience to experience, reporting on it while he's there, which is going to be fun.
yeah, that's definitely going to be really cool because podcasting is big right now, obviously in this stage.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're on a podcast now, But if he's able to show the experience as well, that helps. If you're able to put that into video or even audio form, and the different people that he'll be walking around and talking to. So that'll add a great aspect to it. Thank you, Courtney Harden, for tuning in. Courtney Harden's in Philly. Philly's, I don't know how far it is from Chicago, but I'm sure you can make it. He's a big Marvel guy. That's his lane. You may be a Star Wars fan as well, but I know he's a big Marvel guy.
I am too, and I got to say, one of the highlights of founding was getting to talk to Peter David and getting to interact with him, because he's, for Marvel fans, for DC fans too, Peter David's like a international treasure for us comic book fans. And
Yeah.
this is unfair because I don't have him on my website. I don't know that you even knew he was coming, and so you probably don't know who he is, and that's totally fair if you don't. But he's worked on all across Spider-Man and Hulk and all sorts of really cool Marvel properties,
Yeah.
And also Young Justice, which I'm a big fan of personally.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I just pulled him up, and yeah, he is definitely legit. What he's been involved in, Spider-Man, X Factor, Aquaman, he's been definitely involved in quite a few. So that'll be great as well. Yes, he says yes. Seen all the Marvel. I know he has. He's the one that's always on top of it. He's a podcaster as well, so he's always
cool.
Yeah, he's doing different podcasts about Marvel and sports. That was kind of two of his big things. Now, we kind of talked about some of the voiceovers. Now, outside of the Star Wars voiceover actors, you're also bringing some others from fandoms and genres as well, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have Carolina Ravassa from Overwatch, and we have Carlos Ferro, who's, Baymax just dropped, and that's really exciting. Before that, Carlos had done Assassin's Creed. He was Leonardo da Vinci, and we've been thinking about how to work in that whole, like, I need more codex pages with some sort of an interactive scavenger hunt through the hotel or something. And it's funny because he called me on Friday, and I mean, these guys, they interact a little bit with us on social media, but he shot me a message on Twitter and he said, "Hey, I'm headed to Houston Comic Con. I need to get your phone number. I need to talk to you before I get on the show floor." And I'm expecting, these guys they're always in the studio doing something, especially because he just did Baymax, which brings him into the MCU officially and formally, which we're super enthused about. I thought, I'm getting a call. He's probably going to have to reschedule. He's probably got a movie, something going on. I know that he's got a thing with Amazon that's greenlit that I can't talk about, but I was expecting him to cancel, and instead he got on the phone with me and he said, I was in Baymax. And I said, "We're so excited. It's great. We're going to be, promoting that. And we're so thrilled for you." And he said, "Have you seen what's happened on Twitter?" I said, yeah, I have. And Carlos said, do you still want me to come?" And I was hit sideways by this man. And we were talking about this before the show. You're an African-American, obviously running a podcast, being an entrepreneur. Right. And I was like, "Well, Carlos, why wouldn't we want you to come? You're in the MCU. You've been on an animated Marvel thing. Like, we want you to come even more now." And he's like, but you've seen the blowback. We've got gay couples. My character is actually Hispanic in the show. And, we've got this whole thing where this girl gets her period. It's been very controversial." I said, "Man, why would we not want you to come with this? Like, we're creating a family-friendly, safe, and nurturing event that this is exactly what we want." And I can tell you, growing up, being a fan of these things, it was these properties that told me it's okay to be myself. It's okay to be me. Right. And the fact that he did that and then made the call to me to make sure I was good with understanding that bringing him is an endorsement of inclusion. It's an endorsement of diversity. That made me more excited than ever. Now I'm a huge Gears of War fan. I was already pretty excited to have Dom Santiago coming to my thing. Right. Don't get me wrong, but when I had that call with him, we had that heart-to-heart, it moved me.
It makes it even more special.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It really did. Yeah. And my primary job when I'm not founding fan events, I work in healthcare. And Baymax speaks to me on that basic human level, that Baymax is the best of us. And Carlos very clearly is too. And I was just honored to have a guest who who would represent that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that is awesome. And Baymax, which people that may not know, was in Big Hero 6. So that was the film, which that's a great film. And now to have Baymax and also have this gentleman coming is awesome. And also I want to bring this comment with Raider Kev. He says, I just had a great idea. My granddaughter is a huge Marvel fan that would make it a great trip for us. And exactly, that's it. Bring your kids to this event. Bring,
Yep.
this could be for different generations that are into comics that are into Star Wars. This would be a great event for that. And Baymax is definitely one of those shows that me and my daughter haven't watched it yet, but we just watched Miss Marvel a couple of episodes today. So this would even be a good event for me and her to go to, just because I think it's not just at one point I think comics were like, oh, it's just for kids. But obviously the kids grow up and the kids can't just abandon that passion that you have. And I think too, your kids are gonna see it and they're gonna find your comic book collection. They're gonna be like, what's this? And then it goes from generation to generation. And I think that's special. And then actually being able to go to an event and see things makes it even more special.
I agree. And we've planned this whole thing around having something for everyone, right? We've
Right.
got Carlos who does Gears of War for those who are serious gamers, but also is in Baymax. We've got people from Star Wars, people from Marvel, and we've got the open bar, but we're going to run other programming in parallel to that so that every age has something to do. And that's why we structured our pricing the way we did too, and really push the hotel. And we got $35 weekend parking because parking in Chicago can cost as much as a hotel room, believe it or
Yeah.
not. Here in
Not
Texas,
surprised.
it's the same way down there, isn't it? It's rough,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
you gotta pay. You gotta pay everywhere you go.
yeah, and so we got 35 bucks for the weekend, and we did that very specifically so people bring the whole family, and there's something for everyone, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Another comment here. He said, I just subscribed. I was into Jim Starling, leaving Marvel and DC behind. Dreadstar was strong. So that's a comment there from 100 Black. Thank you for that. And really, this fandom runs deep. And I think if you're able to go to this, what I always suggest that the pricing is like it's the way it's structured, and it's also not that expensive. So I would highly suggest going. So you did kind of mention this already. If you want to touch on this a little bit more, but Ming, who will have the entire podcast experience, he'll be there and he'll be doing that. So, if there's anything else you wanted to add on that, and talk a little bit about Ming. I know he's the best kept secret for the the one and only Jay and Silent Bob. So, you want to touch on him and what
Exactly.
he'll be doing?
I'm really excited about him. He's got a new season of Comic Book Men coming out, which is perfect timing for us. And he's going to be running this podcast experience from a room that was used for radio broadcasts in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. And
Hmm.
the hotel tells me, and I can't back this up. I'm trying to get in touch with the Chicago Historical Society, but the hotel tells me they actually did the World War II broadcast where they would update about the bombings and the raids and where the soldiers were and all that from that
Wow.
room. I
Wow.
definitely know for a fact they
That's
were doing radio broadcasts out of that room and out of the hotel at that time. And Ming being in this space with that kind of living history, and he's going to be covering every aspect of the event, interviewing our attendees while he's there, bouncing from panel to panel. And then we've got everything themed. When I met with Hotel, they brought down their executive chef. And I said, you guys have a great menu and I love it. And they brought me out some samples, which the best food is free food,
oh
especially at a
yeah.
four-star
Oh
hotel.
yeah.
But I said, can we look at the Star Wars cookbook, the Star Trek stuff they used to do at the old Star Trek hotel? And the chef said, yeah, yeah, you want us to theme the menu sci-fi? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we're hoping everyone will come in person, but the reality is we're going to have a few thousand people there, and Ming's going to take this experience we're having and try to translate that for people while he's sitting having a, Star Trek cocktail in 10 forward provided by the hotel while
Correct.
munching on some bite out of the Star Wars cookbook. And that's going to be
Right.
a lot of fun. The other
Yeah.
big podcast thing, and I'm really excited to announce this. I literally just finished the paperwork this morning with these guys. There's a group called Tales of Adventure, Agents of Boo, BOO, and they're a local Chicago podcast here. They're TTRPG, so it's very geeky gaming podcast, and they are minority owned, people of color, and LGBTQ. And they're going to be partnering with us in this. They're going to do some live streaming from a room. We're going to get them in touch with Ming, have them doing some of their gaming experiences live for the fans where they're watching it while they broadcast. And, I love what they've done so far with what's released in episode 1. I love their vision. I think also the kind of inclusion it builds, the kind of bridges we're building. Not being straight myself, that representation. It's exactly what I was talking about. We hit on with Carlos too. What Tales of Adventure is doing, their outspoken representation is just something we love and embrace. And
Yeah.
It speaks to who we are.
It goes a long way. Yeah.
It does.
Definitely.
It's very Chicago.
Yeah. And the diversity goes a long way too, because when you come to this event, you see the different people that are there. That also makes people feel more welcome that while they're there. And I think that's to feel welcome. Obviously, it's something you want to go to, but also when you come in and you feel that welcome feeling, I think that speaks volumes to who you are and to also everyone that was involved in planning it and the guests of honor that are going to be there. So,
and I met with Tales of Adventures founder and one of their principal voice actors, who goes by Dapper Wombat, and I was disappointed. He was dapper, but he didn't appear to be a wombat. He was 100% human. But I met with him, and the passion too. It probably comes across in how I talk about Beacon, but this is a passion project for me.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I hear you.
I'm doing this to create an experience that I want to have, and it's a thing I wanted to exist, and I wanted to exist in my city, so I'm making it. And he brought that same sort of passion to his podcast, that he wanted something like Critical Role that represents the LGBTQ community and the people of color community in Chicago. And it just was this great synergy, and I think we're both bringing a lot of passion to that partnership. And I'm excited. I'm excited to announce it here on your show in real time. And this is
definitely.
This is fun. This is exciting for me.
Yeah. This is an exciting time to be alive right now. There's so many things that we could think that are negative. Obviously, there's so many things we can list off. But I think this event next year will be one of those things that you can look forward to, that you can mark on your calendar, say, hey, I'm going to Beacon, Chicago, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we need these types of things to kind of peel off the bad that goes on every day that we see everywhere. So I'm looking forward to this event, and I'm also happy that you took the initiative to really put this on.
I came back from marching in a 4th of July parade in Niles, Illinois, which is a border at Highland Park, Illinois. And I was on the phone with people who were in Highland Park on 4th of July. The people I was talking to were okay. And I came home and I had to work on Beacon because I just announced it 3 days earlier, and 4th of July week was supposed to be this big promo weekend. I felt what you're saying, that I was feeling screwed up, man. I was, a couple miles away marching in a similar parade.
Right.
It wasn't a good feeling, but working on something positive that brought creative energy into the world and brought light and inclusion, I felt there's a lot not great going on right now. And
that is true. Yeah.
It's felt really good to have something positive to focus on and work on in the middle of pandemic and this sort of stuff,
Yeah. And it's hard to honestly try not to watch the news. I sometimes watch it for the weather, but it's so much bad just over and over and over again in the news. I would love to see a Beacon Chicago promo on the news instead of having so much negative. Let's put something in there that's positive. This is definitely one of those positive things. But I think just in today's time, we got to have more things like this. I think that kind of shines a brighter light. But prayers to those people, to those families, because again, that's not no one wants to hear or see their family member go through something like that. So
it was terrible, and I appreciate you saying that about. Well, I appreciate both parts. I have been praying for the people who went through that, and not good. And it's going on all the time. I mean, that happened to be near me and close to me and affect someone I knew, but it's happening all over the country all the time now.
Everywhere, everywhere.
Bad stuff is happening, and it's
Yeah,
just hard.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's nice to be able to push back and say, and I don't even have a personal Twitter. Like I'm running the at Beacon Chicago Twitter now,
yeah,
and it's been sort of interesting because I made the choice not to have a personal Twitter sometime around mid 2015 for the same reason a lot of people in that election cycle
right,
on
yeah.
both sides of the political spectrum. Doesn't
Oh
matter
yeah,
where you stood. They decide this is
yep.
just too rancorous, man. I
This
want off.
is too
And it's
much.
been
Yeah,
fun because our Beacon Twitter is, I mean, we did put up a post that, yes, members of our staff were marching in multiple parades on the 4th of July because we felt we had to say that. But other
yeah,
than that, it's been focused on geeky things, on creative things. And it's kind of fun that, yeah, I'm aware of the hemisphere of Twitter and I'm aware of brother shouting at brother and all that. And you can't not be.
yeah.
But it's been nice to get to talk about something we can all agree on, like we love comic books, we love
Right,
Star Wars. You
right.
know, we
Let's
all
let's get to
still
the
think,
common. Yeah,
yeah,
let's get to what we have in common instead of all the things that we
exactly.
have not in common. Let's try to come to that middle road, and then when we get to that middle road, we can kind of discuss the things that we don't agree with. It's okay to agree to disagree. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
I've never met a person I hate for their political views. I met some people who are jerks independent of their political views.
right.
I've never
They're
met someone I
jerks on their
hate for
own.
their
Yeah,
views. That's craziness,
right,
And it's
right.
nice to be able to say, oh, you know what I want to talk about today is what kind of lightsaber would you design? Or who's your favorite Star Trek captain?
Right.
Janeway is amazing in my opinion. And I would love to discuss with someone why they think Cisco over Janeway. Because there's a lot of
True.
valid points back and forth there. And that's
True.
so much fun. And I don't want to use the word escapism, but I don't have a better word. So I'm using the word escapism.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
That's better than arguing about
Yeah,
something that eventually is not going to matter.
exactly.
And comic books are forever. I mean, that's the reason why there's people that have comic books that are 70 years old and they still have it and it's
I
in
have the
pristine
stuff I read
condition.
as a kid up here behind me. It's actually off screen a bit, but I have my childhood comics. They're not worth
Yes.
anything. Dude, they're beat up. They're definitely not worth anything, but they are to me.
Yeah,
Those
yeah. And
stories to
there's
me,
stories behind it too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's stuff we need hope. You look at Spider-Man and Superman, and at the end of the day, I won't say ordinary people because I can't stop bullets. But
Right.
it's the
Yeah.
idea is
I
that
wish.
it's the ideals behind them are ideals we can all embrace.
Right. Right.
And I'm thrilled to
Exactly.
be bringing an event that embodies that.
Definitely, definitely. Me as well. Me as well. So we have James Dobbs, founder and CEO of Beacon Chicago. You can see scrolling down below beacon-chicago.com. Also, the event is scheduled for next year, March 31st, 2023. You'll see that scrolling below till Sunday, April 2nd. So the event does run all weekend long. What sort of after hours type programming are you running in the evenings?
I am really excited to talk about that. So we've got the open bar, which ends at 10 p.m. It goes 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., right?
Right.
During that time, we're going to be running programming for people under 21. I'm working with our gaming people to design stuff. Like everyone knows the old camp game, Are You a Werewolf? Or Mafia, or whatever name you know it by, right? There's
Right.
one or two people who are eliminating the other group and you're doing groupthink to figure out who they are. We're going to put kind of a creative fanish spin on that in a environment. Again, you'll be sitting in a Star Wars set and you'll have people playing this. Yeah, sus Among Us. Exactly. You're going to be doing basically live action Among Us. In the evening, also, we're putting together this thing we call Guests Against Humanity, where we want to get in normal Cards Against Humanity, you've got the prompt card, and then everyone's playing other cards drawn off the deck. And we want to get some of the guests up on a stage and have them be given a prompt from the audience, which we'll work with the audience to make sure they've got something. If they don't want to think up their own, we can use a real Cards Against Humanity prompt. We're going to try to keep it PG-13 so the underage can be in there too.
Yeah.
And then the guests will actually provide an answer on their own, and the audience will vote on which guest they think had the best answer, probably by applause or some Totally.
Yeah.
Very, very scientific way of measuring this, And,
It's the fandom.
we're working on other stuff like that after hours, so that basically at your normal Comic-Con show, your pre-COVID Comic-Con show, you're in this giant hall, it's 100,000 people, you do your shopping mall, you see your panel, you go home. And we're trying to really basically give you something to do around the clock, and for all ages. Well,
Yeah.
I think probably the very young kids will be in bed by 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
Mom and
they'll
dad will
probably
tuck
be
them,
asleep by then.
yeah, to tuck them up downstairs and then come back down to give hilarious answers to where did I find the toilet paper in my house? And
Yeah.
I would love to hear where people think a Sith Inquisitor keeps their toilet paper.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely going to be fun, and this is going to be a great event to come to. We were talking about it early. It's next year, March 31st through April 2nd. So you can start planning now, start getting involved. Those of you tuning in or just coming in, if you have any questions, please put those in the chat. No question is a stupid question. So whatever question you have about Beacon Chicago, you can definitely put that in the chat room as well. But those are definitely some exciting things coming up that I think is going to add even more value to this event. So you kind of already mentioned some of these, but if there's anything else you wanted to add to this, so you have guests that are on the website. I know there's some that aren't on the website that you're also working on. It hasn't been announced yet. Is there any other guests that you haven't mentioned, or any other hints or things you want to drop?
I mean, man, it's July 16th, and I
Yeah.
just launched this event July 1st. There's some really exciting guests that we're working with that, you have to get some of your contracts signed before you even announce the event. So you've got a roster
Right.
coming out of the gate with a stable. There's a
Right.
couple things we're still working on getting into paper, and there's some people who are actively filming stuff. And it's very much in the universes we're already working in. And I'm really looking forward to the next months to sharing the ones that work out, the ones we get signed with everybody. And then the
Right.
sort of the last guest, there's so many talented people. The last thing I'll hit on is Tommy Walker. And he's interesting because he's kind of like Peter David, where he's done a lot of different things, where Peter's been Star Trek, Marvel, written in movies, all this. Tommy, he was Drax, who's this bad guy on a show called Henry Danger and Danger Force.
Yep.
I'm 38 years old. I didn't know those shows. I knew Tommy from playing Francis in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right?
Right. Daredevil. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fantastic bad guy. And what I'm excited to hear him do is I'm really excited to hear him talk about what it was like to be up with the Daredevil cast and to talk about Daredevil's inclusion in the MCU. And I'm hoping by March of 2023, some people know this. Daredevil himself has shown up now in the Spider-Man multiverse movie they did. I'm betting Tommy knows some things we fans don't know.
Don't know.
And
Yep.
I'm going to see if I can push the bounds of his NDAs with Disney, who might shoot me if I try too hard. Those guys are scary. But I'll see what I can learn about it when we interview him at Beacon Chicago. And the other thing I learned is he's got this whole Nickelodeon Danger Force. He's like the bad guy, Drax, the understudy for Captain. Oh no, the main superhero, Captain Man, I think, or something. I'm not looking at my notes, but he's the main bad guy for this guy. And so he's done all these different things, and he writes and he produces. And so I said to him, Carolina's Land is easy, Tommy. It's Overwatch. It's all about Overwatch. It's about Carolina. Carlos is, it's going to be Baymax and Gears of War. What are we looking at? You've done so many different properties. And he said, we're going to call it Tommy Land. And it's going to be like this Beetlejuice kind of design, and it's going to be a little bit of everything he's done and some stuff that he hasn't even announced yet. I was like, wow, this is like, you can tell you're working with creative types when you start hearing these ideas,
Oh yeah.
And I was really getting excited about Tommy Land. It was, I was talking earlier about passion, man. This was passion to a capital P.
Yeah. And that's so great to have different people coming and different ideas, because they're going to have ideas that you maybe didn't even think about, because they've been doing it for so many years. And yeah, Tommy is going to be, I think, going to be one of those definitely exciting guys coming But to have the different perspectives, to have the different people, that's what's going to take, this event to another level. So that's another great aspect of this, is that it's because this is July of 2022. You better believe there's going to be a lot more people coming, because there's still more time. There's almost a year. So definitely stay on the website, which let me put the website back up on the screen, beacon-chicago.com. So for future things that are coming out, also the social media, that is in the link in the description of this show. All of the social media is listed there, so you can stay on top of it. Make sure to follow and subscribe, everything, so that you can be on top of what's coming up next. Because again, there's a lot more months going, and I think there's going to be a lot more things coming up, and exciting aspects of this event. So obviously, I've got to ask the COVID question. So you booked, planned, and created the entire event during the pandemic. Isn't that risky? Which we kind of touched on that a little bit. How do you feel about doing this event during this particular time?
Everyone who creates anything in the world, and this as an entrepreneur who's creating a podcast and a YouTube series, we take risks. And I'll be honest, I'm taking a risk with, my reputation, my money, my time, the reputations of every one of the guests who signed on to this. But we're not gonna do anything dangerous. If we get another surge up of the pandemic, if monkeypox becomes really dangerous, we'll obviously cancel, reschedule, just like everyone's done. We'll figure it out, right? But I think that the bigger danger now, I'm a huge fan of this stuff. I was a kid when I first went to my first convention, and I think if we don't find a way to do this after COVID, the bigger danger is letting COVID destroy our community and destroy our events and take that stuff away from us. And I will risk my personal reputation and money to stop that from happening.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and that goes along with a lot of different avenues. But if we allow, and also it becomes fear for a lot of people. If you allow the fear of COVID, if you're vaccinated, if you're up on your shots, I'm not saying run out there and just start kissing everybody, but I am saying it's okay to feel a little bit more comfortable. Right? It's okay to feel a little bit more comfortable and go and do these things that you love, because it's time to get out there a little bit more, especially if you're into comic books, if you're into what we're talking about tonight. Go to the event. I think you won't be disappointed, and I think there's so many things that we have given up to COVID. I'm one of those. I'm a big sports fan. There was a lot of things I didn't do during the COVID time. A lot of things I didn't do. And so I think we can release some of that strain and allow ourselves to go do some of these things. So
my cousin's husband plays baseball, and I remember watching in my basement, because we can't go to a stadium, watching her, at that point fiance, playing, and it's the Toronto Blue Jays on the field. They're playing the Milwaukee Brewers. And then it was Chewbacca in the stands. And as a nerd, I was like, yeah, Chewbacca's watching play. But how heartbreaking was that to be at Brewers Field with two great teams and have cardboard cutouts rooting for your team? I mean, it really did. COVID just was, and we've come through it. And I'm not saying it's over. I work in healthcare. It's not, but we got to live our lives, It's kind of like 9/11, we had to keep flying on airplanes, and here we are 20 years later, and airplanes still exist, and we've got to keep doing events. And it's not going to be a 100,000 person event. It's a 220 room hotel. It's going to be 3,000-4,000 people. The bar is only 150 people in that space. We have built this around being below occupancy. And if COVID flares up, we'll refund people, we'll reschedule. The good news is we know exactly how to deal with an event getting messed up by a virus now, because we've watched people do it right and do it wrong, and we're not going to do it wrong.
Right. And we've seen it left and right. So many different events and venues and concerts and all these different things have gotten shut down. So we know that these things can happen, and they will happen.
Yep. And we are back to life. Keith DeCandido sitting in Connecticut right now doing signatures at Kineticon, which is an awesome convention. I've been there. It's really great. And I know Keith's having a good time there. Carlos is at the Houston Comic-Con. Carolina's been doing autograph sessions. She was actually in Philadelphia, where one of your fans is. She was in Philadelphia doing autographs at the Comic-Con that happened up the old Wizard World. I forget what they renamed it. The talent has gone back to meet their fans. And I can tell you, having had conversations with these people, and I'm about to see Peter in GalaxyCon in Raleigh in 2 weeks, because I'm going to be out there doing panels, and Peter's going to be there doing panels too. And I can tell you for a fact that they are as heartbroken about not seeing their fans and not interacting with their fans. And when I pitched every one of these people, hey, we don't want to do a 100,000 person event. We want to bring you 2,000, 3,000 people and bring you all weekend. And you can get behind the scenes with your fans. Every one of them was like, that's amazing. Yeah. They're as excited as we are to get back to doing the business of being together as humans.
Right. And that's a lot of times the reason why they do what they do is because of the fans. I mean, and there was a comedian that said, I'm not going to do anything unless my fans are on board. I can't remember the name of the comedian.
Is that Robin Williams? Because that sounds like a thing Robin Williams would say.
No, it's a current comedian. I'm drawing a blank on his name because it was an interesting story. His brother actually stole all of his money. So,
oh my God!
I'm trying to think of who this guy was.
Because you can see I'm a Robin fan. He's sitting up there as Mork, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see Mork and Fonzie in my background there.
But
no, that's interesting.
Yeah, and what he said is that I've lost basically everything. And Dane Cook, it was actually Dane Cook that did. He did an interview.
Oh, that sounds like Dane Cook. Yeah.
And he was like, his brother stole all his money and he lost everything. And then he started getting back out there doing more shows. And he was like, my fans were there for me when my family wasn't even there for me. So to that point, they're definitely doing this for the fans, and to be able to see the fans, see the excitement on their faces, I'm sure they signed on. So let me get to a couple of comments. Raider Kev says he just subscribed to the website. He says, I'm seriously considering this event. We'll definitely come through.
We would love to have you and your family, man. We'd have a riot having you there.
Definitely. And Pansu, I think I said that right. What point is there in being safe and sure of everything if that prevents you from living and enjoying yourself? That's so true, because you're living in fear. You're living in fear, and living in fear is eventually it's going to damage you as a person, because you're not really living your true self and who you really are.
I don't deny gravity, but I'll jump out of an airplane with a parachute, right? And I don't deny viruses, but there are things I'll do to mitigate it, and it's the same sort of calculated risk. I'm totally with you. At some point, I can't live in a bubble in my house and never leave. It's just
right, exactly.
Which doesn't mean I deny science at all. I don't. I want to be very clear on that point.
Right. Exactly. All right, so Beacon Chicago, the website beacon-chicago.com. Make sure you put that there. Some of the guests of honor, I'll go down the list right now. We did talk about them throughout the show, but I want to do that. Tommy Walker, like James mentioned, Daredevil, Henry Danger Force, which is on Nickelodeon, Carolina Rivasa. She's a multi-threat, Overwatch, and Grand Theft Auto 5, if you guys are interested in that. Bill Morrison, go to the website. You'll love the graphic that's on there.
Oh, it's so cool.
A drawer for The Simpsons. And I have a really good friend of mine and a coworker. He's a big Simpsons fan. I'm going to share this with him as well, because he knows almost every Simpsons episode that exists. And that's hard, because Simpsons has been on for a third of my life. So Carlos Fierro, you already mentioned him, voiceover for Gears of War. Ming Chen, who's going to be doing the podcast experience. Kevin Smith is his guy. Jay and Silent Bob, he also does podcasting as well, that we mentioned. Philip Anthony Rodriguez, he's an Emmy-nominated voiceover. He's done some Star Wars voiceovers, so that's another great guy. Keith R.A. D. Candido, he's a writer for Star Trek. You're definitely not going to want to miss him. Brian D. Anderson. He's
Oh, I
he's
never
listed
even
as a
mentioned Brian. My bad. He just popped on our website the last couple days, and he's cool, man. He's a fantasy writer, and one of the things that's really great about Brian is he'll open up about the craft. You know, when he
yeah.
talks, he'll flat out tell people how did he write, how does he suggest writing, and he'll. I can tell you for a fact because I've been to shows with him. He'll sit at a bar after hours and have a drink with anybody and tell them anything they want to know about how he's done what he's done. And
Yeah.
um, the Godling Chronicles are amazing. I'm
Yeah.
in the middle of them on Audible right now, and they're really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's the OG. You have him listed on the website as the OG
Oh yeah,
of
dude, that
independent
picture of him on
authors.
that motorcycle, that's not an
Yeah, that's one.
affectation. He legitimately has a YouTube stream traveling around on his bike. In fact, he's going to be at Galaxy in Tampa. I'm sorry, not Galaxy Con Raleigh. He's going to Tampa in a couple weeks, and he's taking his bike there. I mean, he's a wild
Wow.
guy.
Wow. Yeah, that photo looks cool. Like he's in a some type of biker movie that he's previewing. I
Oh, he
love that
is.
photo. And also Michael Stackpole, New York Times bestselling author. I think you already mentioned his name.
Yeah.
And Rick Hines is another. He has a really great photo on there that he looks like he's going like this, like he does or doesn't care. But I think he's also going to be another great guest. So the guests are amazing. Visit the website, get more information. Also, subscribe on the website so then you'll be on top of the information. It'll be hosted at the W City Center, which is 172 West Adams Street, Chicago, Illinois. It has a phone number and a toll-free number on the site as well. Beacon Chicago is on social media as well, so make sure to go there: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And all the information is in the description of this show. So wherever you're watching, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, wherever you are, you can definitely get that information there. Also, if you're watching on Roku, we're live on Roku BS3 TV. This will
Oh,
be
cool.
uploaded for future viewing as well on Roku, so you can go back to it and watch it there. But it's been awesome. It's been awesome interviewing you. Once again, James Dobbs. He's the founder and CEO of Beacon Chicago. Anything else that you want to leave us with before we conclude?
I want to thank you for spending about an hour with me, listening to my passion and what I'm bringing, and just leave you with, in my Star Wars shirt, very appropriate, with what I think is the best parting words: live long and prosper.
Yes, yes. May the may it be with you.
Yeah, so no, that's good. You should give me back for that. Yeah, may
Yeah.
the force be with you. Exactly.
But man, really great talking to you. And
It's a
like we
pleasure.
kind of talked about, I love just having different types of people on this podcast, and we talk about from A to Z, all the different things. And I want to get to this comment here, a couple comments.
Panda Sue.
He said, "You should feature me. I'm some random boring dude from the internet. Wouldn't want to see me at the event." Hey, still come, man. Still come.
Yeah. Hey, come wear a cosplay. We're going to be featuring all the cosplayers Friday and Saturday night. We're going to be doing a lot of cosplay stuff. So, come wear a cosplay and rock it with us, man.
And Raider Kev, appreciate the show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all the viewers tuning in tonight. James Dobb, thank you for reaching out to come on the
Thank you.
show. And I would love to have you on again. As we get closer to the event, love to get you on the show again to talk about even more guests and guests of honor that you have coming.
I would absolutely love that, and maybe see if I can grab one of the guests of honor next time to come with me. Because
Oh
let's
yeah.
be real, no one wants to hear from me. I'm just some random boring dude from the internet too. Those are the people I really want to get.
He says, "I'm kidding. I'm not even in the U.S." Oh, really? Well,
Ah,
hey, you might want to make a trip then.
Chicago is the best place to visit in the United States, in my humble, born and raised opinion.
Sure, that and Texas. Yeah, so
Yeah.
make a trip to Chicago,
Is
then make
Texas
a
in the
trip to
United
Texas.
States? I thought it was its own place, right? One
We
star
we
or
make it
something like
seem
that.
like it. We sure do make it seem like it. But great opportunity to have you on. Great guests
Thanks,
onto
man.
the show, and I would love to have you on in the future. So thank you everybody for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
Make sure to visit the website Beacon-Chicago. And until next time, for myself and James, we will see you on the flip side. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.